All right, listen, we all know housing is local. I mean, take a look at this. The blue places are hot, the brown, the dark spots are not. And of course, today's hot market could be tomorrow's not so hot market. But one thing is true right now for the entire nation, and that's this the housing unaffordability or affordability thing, especially when it comes to younger adults who want to form households. Now, the irony is that in the past, when owning got so far out of whack compared to renting, you could see it didn't take long for home prices to come down, right? This has never been like this. You would think naturally home prices would be coming down, but this is a unique situation right now. In part, 40% of these homes are now paid off. And of course, there's that one real serious issue. A large chunk of these mortgages, payments are so low. I mean, sellers just don't want to sell for a higher mortgage payment. President Trump trying to balance this whole thing out. He wants to make houses more affordable without crashing the current housing market. Now, my next guest is one of my favorite economists and housing experts. I want to bring in Dallas-Fort Worth housing and macroeconomic analyst, Amy Nixon. Amy, listen, the Federal Reserve hikes rates to hurt the economy, right? And of course, the last time they hiked rates, it didn't necessarily work with housing, but President Trump trying to walk a delicate balancing act here.
Yeah, I do want to say the rate hikes actually helped with shelter in place. You have to remember, before they hiked, we had 9% year over year, and it's taken some years, but we've gotten down to about 3%, which is pretty close to historical norms. So they did do what they were supposed to do. What actually hurt the housing market more than the rate hikes was what we did prior to that, which was years and years of quantitative easing without really thinking about the end in sight. Like, where does that lead us to? Sort of zero bound, and then prices just keep going up and up and up. Eventually, when you run that model, you're going to price out younger generations. And that's the quagmire that we're in today. So
the White House, they've tossed out a lot of ideas to help affordability. I want to kind of discuss them. The 401k. Well, let's go with the private equity. Listen, I know a lot of people are saying, well, they only own a sliver of the housing market. It wasn't long ago, though. They were buying all the houses out there, sight unseen, and they were hurting some markets. I mean, so is that an idea that we should embrace?
I like that idea, Charles. I think we should be discouraging speculation by any means. So private equity obviously are speculators. They're coming in, they're trying to make money on these transactions, and they're concerned with the bottom line. That has nothing to do with homeownership, American dream, and the utility of shelter. So definitely that's, I think, a positive step in the right direction. Of course, mom and pop investors own more of the total supply of rental inventory. So that is going to be a bigger piece of the market. But starting with corporate and private equity is a good place to start.
What about using 401ks as down payments?
Charles, I'm not a fan of that. So typically, if you go see a financial advisor, they're going to advise you to have a diversified portfolio for retirement. This would be taking that diversified portfolio, liquidating it, and putting it all into one asset class that is 5x levered and high risk, frankly, going forward in an economy and a society where our demographics aren't very favorable for future homeownership.
Yeah, it's not liquid, and let's face it too. I mean, I prefer keep the stocks separate. They've done pretty well. I'm with you on this one. You've been critical of the baby boomers hoarding, the baby boomers who have hoarded. In fact, the best memes out there are always these a bunch of baby boomers who are having a party because they bought a house for a bag of apples, right? But what can be done about that?
It's a quagmire, honestly, that any politician is going to be in going forward, because this is a voter base. Your boomers are a voter base, and for a lot of them, for the majority of them, it is their home. They're planning to age in place. This is where they raise their kids. This is where they want to live. That is the majority of boomer homeowners, and the majority are not rich. When people joke about the boomers on, they can just take 3 Carnival cruises a year instead of 5.
Right.
Those are the top 10% of that cohort. Most of them don't own a lot of net worth, and it's all in their home.
Yeah.
So if you devalue that home, especially minority homeowners, you'll see that it's an extremely high percentage of their net worth is in their home. If you start devaluing those homes, that is going to cut into their health care, their ability to pay just their general bills in retirement. So it's a really tricky thing to balance. Like, how do we take care of the older people that are not wealthy, which is the majority of them, and the younger people that can't get into this housing market with prices this high?
Yeah. Hey, 30 seconds. Pending home sales just came in at the lowest level ever. Is this still the American dream, owning a home? Do you still think young folks want that?
I think they do, but I think they're also starting to accept that it might not be possible. So they're looking at these alternate methods like the prediction markets, crypto, stocks, even precious metals. We're starting to see young people branch out. And I don't think it's a bad thing, Charles. Wealth building can look a lot of different ways. And maybe the way your grandpa got rich isn't going to be the way that you're going to get rich.
Love it. Amy, thank you so much.
Thank you,
All
Charles.
right, see you soon. All right, so while the smart money on Wall Street, keeps tripping over themselves, they can't get it right. Retail, they just keep buying the dips and they keep winning. They're on fire. We're going to talk about someone who's championed them. Kip Harris is here, but he's a little worried about small caps. We'll get more details next.